Governments in general nowadays are run by hidden hands. They may be seen governments at the surface level, but behind the scenes, it's totally a different game altogether. That is a fact. What you see on TV is just a show.
Giancana met with Mayhew face to face and informed him that the outfit and the United States government were now officially partners in the assassination attempt on Castro.
So if we don't receive the mark of the beast, meaning if we do not follow the system of the world, obviously we'll be persecuted, eventually killed.
I see the need for action. I see the need for a great reset.
It made sense to the CIA, to Mayhew and his contemporaries, to enlist members of organized crime to do their dirty work. And this is incontrovertible because we have declassified documents that recorded conversations with Sam Giancana and the CIA.
And we are just now where we move into the exponential phase.
And this revolution will come at a breathtaking speed. It will be like a tsunami.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order.
And the last factor I want to mention is resilience, the capability to bounce back, because there will be certainly what we call the black swans, the unpleasant surprises which will come in our way.
I am diligently working to uncover the evil works of darkness that collaborate to destroy the Christian faith. Most Americans would not recognize the Bundy family as a powerful elite family, but by the end of this video, you will think otherwise. The earliest records I could find for the Bundy bloodline was 1500 AD. Robert Bundy was born in 1500 in Amesbury, Wiltshire, England. I have traced this all the way to Solomon Bundy, which I will put in the description. It has been said that Stonehenge was completed in 1600, which out of the gate we can link Stonehenge with the Bundy bloodline. Solomon Bundy was an attorney from Chenango County. He was elected as a Republican to the 45th Congress in New York. Solomon had a son named McGeorge Bundy Sr. McGeorge Bundy had a son named Harvey Hollister Bundy, and this is where things get interesting. Harvey Hollister Bundy graduated from Yale University and went to law school at Harvard University. He served at high levels of government with Henry Stimson under Presidents Herbert Hoover and later Franklin Roosevelt. Harvey's two sons, William Putnam Bundy and McGeorge Bundy, both became attorneys and served in intelligence during World War II. They served as high-level advisors to Presidents John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson, particularly related to the Vietnam War. Harvey Bundy was initiated in Skull and Bones in 1909 and had 5 children. 3 of these children had ties to Skull and Bones as well. Harvey was one of the most key figures in the supervision of the Manhattan Project developing the atomic bomb. He was the key Pentagon man. Harvey also worked at Carnegie Corporation, who created various Carnegie foundations that worked with the Rockefellers. These are not Johnny-come-latelys. McGeorge Bundy went to Yale University, where he was initiated into the Skull and Bones Society in 1940. He also went to Harvard and was in the U.S. Army. In 1949, he served in the Council on Foreign Relations. From 1961 to 1966, he was the National Security Advisor for JFK and Lyndon B. Johnson. And in 1966, McGeorge was appointed the president of the Ford Foundation, another Illuminati foundation that is promoting their agenda. William P. Bundy started working for the CIA as an analyst and then as an assistant to the deputy director of the CIA. William Bundy worked with the Mafia strongman Sam Giancana, who was one of the deadliest mob bosses in history. Sam Giancana had a friend named Robert Mayhew, who worked under Stavros Niarchos of the Onassis family. Stavros Niarchos is a Bilderberger and a nephew of Aristotle Onassis. The Onassis family runs the Mafia, and we will cover them later. Robert Mayhew worked for Giancana and the CIA. One of Mayhew's top men was Lou Russell, who, besides working for Mayhew, worked with the CIA and the Onassis family. Lou Russell was also the company that provided security for the Watergate complex when it was burglarized. The Russell family will also be covered later. Sam Giancana worked with the CIA on a plot to assassinate Fidel Castro of Cuba. Not only is this alarming, it is factually true.
Bobby Kennedy was tightening the noose. But one government agency had jeopardized all his work by secretly seeking Giancana's help. The CIA. The consequences for the agency and for Giancana would eventually be dire. Giancana and many other gangsters had once had vast, lucrative business interests on the island of Cuba, just a short hop from Miami. In exotic and poverty-stricken Cuba, white tourists with green dollars could live like royalty and lose money in the comfort of the mob-owned casino hotels.
Cuba was a gold mine for the mob. A lot of money made down there in the casinos and the joints, and Castro took it away completely.
On New Year's Day, 1959, Fidel Castro's rebel forces swept into Havana and with popular support supplanted the old mob-friendly regime of President Batista. Castro swiftly nationalized land and American businesses. He cost the mob and the U.S. government untold millions of dollars.
The mob, they were running this Cuba. They were running amok down there under Batista. And when Castro came in, he threw them all out. So they were not happy with him. If they could get rid of Castro, they could move back in.
It wasn't just the mob who wanted Castro gone. The CIA saw Castro as a dangerous communist on America's doorstep, and they wanted him swept away.
So, who would you go to? You go to mob guys who had good connections in Cuba and operated there for years and are pretty good at killing people.
On the basis that my enemy's enemy is my friend, the CIA met Giancana and associates to try to arrange a gangland hit on Cuba's president, Fidel Castro.
They're certainly naive about the organized crime. They're not a hit squad. You can't buy them to kill people. They thought they could.
In January 1975, a Senate Select Committee began investigating illegal CIA operations, specifically CIA involvement in plans to assassinate Castro. Its findings would shock Chairman Senator Church.
It is simply intolerable that any agency of the government of the United States may engage in murder.
As you can see, the Bundys have been in some of the most powerful positions you can be in. The most alarming topic is what I'm about to tell you right now. Please listen intently. The two key leaders of the early Watchtower Society were Walter H. Bundy and Edwin Bundy. If you're not familiar with the Watchtower Society, they are the ones that direct, administer, and disseminate doctrines for the group Jehovah's Witnesses. The Watchtower Society wrote the book Survival into a New Earth, and what I'm about to show you is jaw-dropping. This is the book, Survival into a New Earth. Now keep in mind, the people responsible for this doctrine, the majority of them are a part of Skull and Bones, and Skull and Bones is heavily involved in Satanism. Now, they start off with saying, are you willing to identify yourself publicly with the greater Yahuwah and with his anointed followers on earth? And then it talks about, do you have the mark? All who hope to survive into the new earth must also be unmistakably identified as worshipers of Jehovah. And then it goes to talk about an example of why you need this mark. Ezekiel heard Jehovah summon those appointed to bring unfaithful Jerusalem and its inhabitants to a ruin. He saw 6 men armed with weapons for smashing, and there was also 1 man clothed in linen with a secretary's inkhorn at his hips. First to this linen-clad man, Jehovah said, pass through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and you must put a mark on the foreheads of the men that are sighing and groaning over all these detestable things that are being done in the midst of it. Then to the 6 others he said, pass through the city after him and strike. Let not your eye feel sorry, and do not feel any compassion. Old man, young man, and virgin, and little child, and woman you should kill off to a ruination. But to any man upon whom there is a mark, do not go near. So it explains what was the key to survival? It was the mark placed on one's forehead by the man with the secretary's inkhorn. And then it goes on, do you really have the mark needed for survival? And it continues and talks about, in the questions down here, what is the mark? How does a person get it? And it talks about all, regardless of background, who hope to survive into this new earth as associates of the anointed class must have this mark. So the Great Reset provides us with this new earth or new world order, which is the 4th Industrial Revolution. The mark of the beast is coming. Are you ready to make your decision?